Evening, folks. Thanks for coming in. Hope you're all doing well midweek and you're not getting soaked or blown to buggery, basically. As you can see, you've got 4 days on the panel tonight. You've got this stranger down there, Craig, who's one of us. Doesn't appear very often, but he's here tonight. And we have the man from the Highlands himself, the Inverness legend of the paranormal, Mr. Liam from Highland Paranormal, and we've got Barry as well from Highland Paranormal. This is the first time we've met Barry, so we might interrogate him a little bit. You know, interrogate or terrorise. Well, I don't know. Still to make up our mind.
Whatever.
Yeah, he's a bit of a Viking, Barry, so you better be careful, guys.
All right. Well, I live in Edinburgh. And there's Liam's other half in. And there's wee Eileen. Wee Eileen was on the other night with Nicola. And it just got a whole lot brighter in here for some reason.
It did.
Yeah, I was a fascinating chat on Monday night. Really enjoyed that.
Oh, thank you. We can delve into something. That's my just got you the odd one out with all your hair. With your hair. I don't have a beard.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the odd one.
You're missing out.
Yep.
I did with Eileen and Nicola on Monday night, and it was a good wee show. I managed to be serious, Liam.
You did well.
Thanks to the vote.
Yeah. The ladies kept you right.
They did. They kept me in line, didn't they?
They did.
You see, Barry, till I understand, most of our shows just go down the toilet, basically. We tried to be serious, but it doesn't always work, you know. Oh, there's you did well. Thanks very much, Eileen. Means a lot coming from you, my dear. So how are we, guys?
We're good. Yeah, I'm good. I don't know about Barry, but I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Not getting blown away quite. It's pretty wild up here. Yeah.
I don't want to go that Keswick Bridge anyway, do you?
Nah, no, thank you.
No, stay away from the bridge. You end up in Elgin or something like that, you know.
It's a wee bit breezy.
Yeah.
Just a tad. So Barry, tell us a wee bit. We've never met you before, my friend. So tell us a wee bit about yourself and how you know this renegade.
Well, I was just unlucky, really. What happened? I moved up here. You may be able to tell from my accent. I'm not originally from the. You noticed?
I noticed it was slightly different.
A little bit. About, I don't know, 17, 18 years ago, I moved up from, way down in Southampton, middle of the South Coast. I came up for work, but I'm retired now. I started going to Highland Paranormal meets, open meets, joined in with some of the functions that went on, and just carried on to be an investigator with Highland Paranormal for, I don't know, 2-3 years now, something like that.
Yeah,
you know, it's been interesting.
It's been an interesting journey for you.
It has, yeah. I've I don't know. I've had some very interesting experiences, but I mean, I wouldn't call myself sensitive in that sense, but I'm reasonable with the dowsing rods, and I am told I'm quite good at talking with spirits. So, you know, that's where I'm coming from, I suppose. Really, my main specialism was runes, runes. You know, the Viking language system, if you like, a system of writing, which the runes have always fascinated me for, I don't know, 25 years, and they're used for not just for communications and sort of shopping lists and stuff like that, and a message from the wife saying "Get your ass home from the beer hall." They're also used for divination, which is something that really interests me, and they do seem to be really accurate. But that depends on your interpretation, I suppose. But that's me in a nutshell. Spent, I don't know, 50 odd years in architecture. I quite enjoyed working on very old buildings. So if we're investigating an old building, I do have some idea of the structure, and I might be able to explain why some of the creaks and bangs occur, which are not necessarily any sort of perhaps no manifestation there. That's well, I hope to do that. So there you go. That's me in a nutshell.
No, so you moved it. Eileen's saying you might know Bob and Sally Hunt if you came originally from Southampton.
Really? Don't know. I mean, I was never involved with any of the paranormal groups or anything like that down there. It wasn't until I moved up here and I was fortunate enough to meet Liam that I really got involved. I'd always been interested, but never got involved in anything.
Liam, we've had the pleasure of meeting him, and I was quite surprised how short he is. But that's another story. I'm going to
tell my dad about you.
Well, I actually met somebody that was shorter than me. And we'd done a few shows together, and then my partner, Sarah, my partner, we were up at Inverness for a couple of days. So Liam was begging, you know how it is, Barry. Beg, come and say we come for a cup of tea, etc., etc. I'll show you my Lego. I'll show you my Lego collection and stuff. So you need to go. You're in the same town. So.
Yeah. We have a complete team now of our team in Lego.
Yeah.
It's I think you can probably find it on the website. I think there's a picture of us all. It might not be, but I think there is. Yeah.
Well, we actually need to do an updated one. Yeah, we need to do an updated one, but we will be taking our haunted Lego house to HorrorCon. So people will be able to see it at HorrorCon with all the team and a few spooks and maybe a few celebrity ghosts hidden in as well.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Sarah says it's quite an impressive Lego. It's quite an impressive Lego collection. Well, everybody was into Lego. I was into Lego as a kid, but I used to try and build boats and guns and planes and stuff like that. The boring kind of stuff. And it's too technical for me now. The old Lego. It's too. I prefer just the normal, basic kind of Lego. We did it for the HorrorCon. They're actually getting into bother Liam for your other half.
I'll say no more.
No spoilers. No
spoilers. No.
So when's the HorrorCon in Inverness?
The HorrorCon in Inverness is, let me just double check. I get the 12th of October. So it's Saturday, 12th of October. So it's the first ever, not long, it's the first ever horror convention in Inverness. Really looking forward to that. We'll be doing a couple of demonstrations through the day, as well as having a couple of tables there. We'll also be we've been asked to do a Q&A session as well. Really looking forward to it. It should be a fun day.
We might
looking for the green lady.
Yeah.
We might just make a wee appearance, maybe. I don't know. I'll need to speak to the gaffer who's on the other side of this, Because Inverness is it's a beautiful town. I've been many, many times. It's a beautiful town when the weather's great. So Barry, since you started with investigations, has it changed your views on the paranormal any or?
It. I don't know that it's changed my views. Maybe I'm more convinced now than I was. I'm well, like Liam has said, he tends to be a skeptic, but at the same time believing in what's going on. Yeah, is that right, Liam?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think you've got to have that skeptical side. We've talked about it before, Scott, haven't you? I mean, if you've got you can't sit. I don't think you can sit on one side or the other. To be honest, I know there's a lot of debunkers, but I think skeptics out there. But the best ones, even the debunkers, the best debunkers are the guys who actually they do believe that there is, there is something there. There is something there. Because for a very long time, I kind of shut myself off, and I was so skeptical. And I actually think that had a negative impact to my ability to investigate. But yeah, skeptical believer is how I normally describe myself.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same. Basically.
You need to be, I mean, I say I'm 80-20, 80% believer, 20% You need to be really getting an invitation up to Inverness. Because Liam, you and I have spoken about this before. I call it the paranormal wagon. There's many teams out there, and everything is paranormal. Everything's spirit. It doesn't matter what it is. It's always, and you can't do that. And I think it makes us look like idiots, basically. If you get watching some team, and I've watched a few of them, and they go into a castle. Oh, right, did you die that spirit there? I heard that. I heard that. Did you smell that? That's sulfur. That's demonic. Right, so we got spirit there, and we got demon here, and all that crap. You think seriously? Take a step back. I always say the believers need no proof. For the non-believers, no proof is enough. That's true.
Oh yeah, I've met people who have had experiences but are in total denial. It's weird.
Bad telly is responsible for much of it. It is, but I always say,
yeah.
I always say people just know. Sorry, Lawrence. Sorry. We won't use the D word. We'll just say it's an unpleasant spirit.
Yeah.
An unhappy chappy. Yeah. We get any bonus too easily, much you and me get any bonus.
Yeah, it's a trouble. We could say one of Zach's friends.
Aye.
We all know what we're talking about then.
It's just Barry. It's just Barry and Kate that's left to get into trouble now. You know what I mean?
I don't like to use the D word. I have yet to experience anything really like that. So it may happen. I don't know.
Too many people kind of like fly it around willy kind of nilly. Everything's a demon.
Yeah.
Like there's a little girl haunting, and that's a demon in disguise. And I'm the same. I personally do believe the kind of like the Zach phenomenon. Of just like everything's a demon, everything's bad, and you've got to antagonize, and it's just that's it.
Yeah.
Eileen, I've got a tight t-shirt on tonight.
So
no
same here.
When I got this, it fitted me, but too many smoky bacon crisps. That's what happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened. But I mean, the last time Liam was on, I sent him 2 links. Was it the last time, Liam? The time before? I sent you a couple of links, just talking about the D word.
Yeah.
I was about these individuals, shall we say, who did an investigation in a house, and there was 6. I'm going to say it, Lawrence. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. Demonic entities in this house, and they've been there. Oh, Liam knows what I'm talking about because I said
I've watched them. Yeah, it's
and they managed to get rid of 4 during the day, but then there was another 2 who were hiding up in the loft. But then 2 became 1, and this bugger was hiding up in the loft, and there were, the lady in it says that she was an ordained exorcist, qualified and all the rest of it. And our wee friend, she was putting what looked like Saxo breadcrumbs on the floor in the shape of a star. And they were kind of asking each other, which way should the star point? And, Liam will tell, what was your opinion on it, Liam?
I'm trying not to swear. I wasn't impressed. It was clear, pure entertainment. I think she actually lost count. She got caught up in her own lies, basically at one point, and she kind of lost count, and she kind of went off on a tangent, and it just it was car crash viewing, basically. It wasn't great, and I think we've seen there, Eileen was saying as well, it gives us all a bad name because the people that are the total skeptics and non-believers, that's fuel for them. Look at these idiots, that's what all these teams are like. And it's a huge challenge for us because when we go and try and get into locations, a lot of people's perception is shows like Most Haunted and Ghost Adventures, where it's dramatics, and they think that every team is going to be like that, and we're not, obviously.
No.
I don't think we had screamers.
No.
We had one, no names, but we walked into the house. We took a small team, and there was the smell of herbal tobacco, shall we say.
Yeah.
And they had 4 largish dogs pounding around who didn't seem to be worried at all. And that's right, I was using my K2, and I had feedback from a friend who said that I was just waving a silly little box around. So I think people in that particular case, I think they were looking for attention as much as anything, or the lady of the house, the guy who couldn't give a monkeys, basically.
That was clearly the case in that, because there was Facebook posts that had been going up on a regular basis, giving updates about the activity that was going on in the house. And it's one of those ones where I don't know if you guys have had this before, but you're speaking to somebody, you're trying to explain something to them and basically say, look, you've not got, there's nothing, we're not picking up anything here, we think this is probably what's causing your problem. And as I actually walked out of the house that night, I said to the guys, she didn't listen to a word I said.
No, she didn't want to hear.
She didn't want to hear. You're quite right. Yeah. So and again, it's fueled by folk who are watching these kind of ghost adventures and things like that. And I think Jason Hawes of Taps, Ghost Hunters, is now off the air because he was basically saying that Discovery Channel basically said, right, for the next series, we want you to focus on demons. And he said, I don't do demons. I don't believe in demons. So, no, I'm not doing it. We'll just pull the show. Yeah.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, and this is just my opinion, but if you've got, our old house, we had 2 individual spirits there at least, and bits and pieces happen. Very, very small things would happen. Nothing major like TV blowing up or anything like that, getting thrown out of bed in the middle of the night, all that sort of stuff. It was very, very small things. Twice I seen somebody walk by the bedroom door, but it was like a millisecond, and they were gone. And I was in myself, so I knew there was, I certainly wasn't me. And I think 9 times out of 10, if you've got, a spirit residing in your house, if you don't bother them, they'll not bother you. That's just my point of view. You know, you get. I mean, I know you get all these stories where, oh, I've got a spirit in my house, and he's always turning tables upside down. He's wrecking everything. No doubt you do get unhappy spirits in houses, but 90%, 95% of the time, it's, excuse the pun, live and let live.
Yeah.
Would you guys
I was just thinking the same thing, because basically, you know, where we live just now, the house where we are, it's basically it is haunted, but it's like ghosts, it's pet ghosts. Mostly it's our dog that died here a few years ago, and it's our cat that's died here a few years ago. And we just generally, it's got to the point now where just like we'll see a shadow going down, you know, going down the stairs, like a dog-sized shadow, and we're just like, that's Shelley, you know? Oh, hi, Shelley, you know, and just like, it's just like living with, you know, living with a couple of extra mouths that we don't have to feed, you know? It's just like, it's always comforting. And sometimes we'll see the cat wandering across the living room, you know, and it's just like, oh, that's Jess, you know, and it's really weird. But, you know, a haunting doesn't necessarily have to be a demon, doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. It's basically, it could just be people living their lives and animals living their lives and just, you know, getting on with stuff, you know.
In my old flat, I used to live alone years ago, and in my old flat, I had there was after there was a young guy passed away in my old flat before Sarah and I took over, but I ended up living myself, and I had things with my TV remote get moved, my keys get moved once, you know, my Buddhas would get slightly moved, and it didn't bother me. I used to say hello and cheerio coming in there. I lost the rag one night. I was watching a film, and I had a galley kitchen which sat off the living room, and I was and the bin lid, the kitchen bin lid came flying off, and I was like, "Would you pack it in? I'm trying to watch this beat film. Do what you want, but let me watch my film, basically." And after that, there was nothing, you know. And I wasn't going nuts. I was just saying, "Look, you want to carry on there after my film? I'm trying to watch this," and there was nothing. So, but I was just jumping back to those people in the house with the 6 demons. If you had 6 demons in your house, I think you'd know about it. I don't think you'd have a house, actually.
Yeah.
You know, I really think you would know about it. You'd be gone. You know, and as I say, that these people, they just make a mockery of it.
Yeah, and they're also preying on the vulnerable. That's the other side of it, because there is victims here, and it's the people whose houses they're going into. You know, we've certainly done cases where, you know, other individuals or groups have been involved in the past, and they've scared the bejesus out of people. You know, terrified them, and that's a challenge in itself to try and sit them down and say, look, actually, you know, they're talking nonsense. I know, and I'm not being arrogant when I'm saying, you know, that, but you know, you have to go in with a level head. And we were getting groups that were not even visiting a location. They were basically listening to the person on the phone and telling them they needed an exorcism carried out in their house.
One of the most bizarre things is a team in Glasgow we work closely with. They did a private house, and so they were investigating. This is, you know, there's nothing here. There was a young girl that lived in it, and I think she had some issues without going into detail. But they were saying in their reply there was nothing there. But this guy watching them, we watched the video, and he says there was. So they says there was 44 demons in our oven. And
Shouldn't laugh.
The way this young lady was, I think she actually believed it. That, you know, she had a demonic oven. And it was just, you know, I mean, this guy's a clown. I've known him personally. Well, Craig knows him. PIH is known in the past, shall we say. And he says, you've got 44 demons in their oven. So, well, that's a bit a busy oven, isn't it? You've got a steak pie in there. If you're 44 demons in it, you're not going to get your Sunday roast in that oven. It's too busy. And it's just things like that. I mean, we've been fortunate enough. I mean, I believe there is demons somewhere, some kind of forum, but that's it. We've never encountered one, and touch wood, we never do. We've had grumpy spirits, that's it. That's how I can describe it, but nothing do demonic ovens make demonic pies. I'll tell you, Eileen, see when I heard this, and it was exact, it was 44, so I don't know how he counted them, 44.
It sounds a bit too much like Ghostbusters, like demons and demon dogs in the fridge, and just I've been watching a bit too many sort of like movies.
Yeah, must be little demons.
No.
Like the little marshmallow men in Ghostbusters.
No.
Yeah.
No wonder they're angry, all squished together, and I tell you.
They were when they're
they'll be used to the heat.
We've done investigations, and we've been sworn that you guys have as well. We've been swore at and told to F off and stuff like that, And but I think the most I wouldn't say it was Canongate one night we went, and I've told this story before, and Sarah and I went in the gate, and we just had this overwhelming feeling that we weren't wanted. It wasn't demonic or bad or anything like that. It was just, we just felt we're not wanted here the night. And Sarah went back to the car, but I went for a wee sort of wander as you do. And I would say that's about the worst we've ever had. What were you guys?
Well, we tend to make a point of asking, are you happy that we're here, or do you mind us being here? And usually the answer is yes. Sometimes it's no, but I mean, people are people, whether they're in spirit or not. I tend to talk to them. But normally we use the rods. We have a real star in our group with the use of the dowsing rods, and hopefully I think I work well with her, and I just speak to the spirit as I would a person. I'm not going to not going to deal with them with great reverence or anything like that any more than I would with you guys. I mean, I'm speaking normally. That's how I do it. I mean, we have one. We can't get back in there now, but there's a wonderful house, and in one of the rooms there's a little girl called Sarah who's about 6, and she likes nursery rhymes. So I've told her nursery rhymes, and you speak to her like you would a 6-year-old. Or there was a guy in a castle we went to. We're going back there, and this guy admitted to having got one of the staff in the castle pregnant and then had her killed. And I got a bit annoyed with him, and I told him off because that's that's the way I felt, and I wasn't going to mess about with it. I told him he was what was it? I think I used bounder or something like that, or a cad or something like that, because that's what I thought. He didn't like it, but too bad. No, that's how I see talking to spirit. As I say, through the rods, that's how I see doing it, because they're people. They're not some sort of gods or anything like that. They're, when they were alive, they were people and should be treated as such. That's how I feel.
No, I totally agree with that. You see
Yeah.
why there were, there were people here, the people, when there's still people when they pass over, and you just talk to them normally if they're sitting next to you, because basically they could be sitting next to you, and you just have a normal kind of chat conversation with them. And I think Spirit appreciates that more. I think
That's
you'll
right.
get the odd one that likes his time. We've got one at Loudon, a James Dempster, but he likes to be called Mr. Dempster. Otherwise he'll not answer you. But that's just the way, he is. We don't mind that, so you hear Mr. Dempster or whatever.
That's right.
But that's as far as we go, we don't, it's, I know that Liam and Craig are the same. Country Carpenters asking any good experiences. We've had many.
Oh, lots.
Quite a few, yeah.
Yeah, lots. It's an honor, isn't it? It's such a privilege to connect with any spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It would be hard to just say pick one, and go, we've been just like you guys. I mean, I know that, Scott, for you guys, Loudon Kirk, you've got that connection, that real bond with, the spirits that are there. And that's special when you get that bond, when you go to a location and you connect with somebody, and then you might go back to that location and you go, can you remember me? And the rods are going, yes. So that one, those kinds. So there's at Clava Cairns, I connected with a woman who I believe was murdered there for being a witch. She was actually a midwife, and she seems to connect with me when I go there, and she's really happy to connect with me, because we ask the question, does anybody else come and speak to you? No.
Aye.
So that kind of thing's really special. The ones where you're going to get that bond.
I totally agree with him with the bond thing, because you could say talk Loudon Cup for example. I know I talk about Loudon Cup quite a bit, but we do have quite a close connection with it. But you've got other teams that go in there and they might get nothing, and then we go, and it's that, how do you put it? It's an honour. You feel happy that the Spirit's chosen you, and know the sort of previous team or whoever that was in. They've chosen. We'll talk to you because we like you and we can trust you, basically. Whereas we don't know the other ones, so we're not talking to them.
Yeah,
so that is a good experience.
We had a really interesting experience at an old abandoned farmhouse that we've done now a couple of times, and I didn't do it deliberately, but we split into two groups, and it turned out that one of the groups, nobody had been there before, whereas the other group, everybody had been there before. And the activity was with the group that had been there before. The other group, who had a couple of spiritual folk in, were saying they're watching us, but they're keeping their distance. They're not connecting with us. Which is fascinating as well. But I found that really interesting, and again, that just strengthens the argument of the bond and the fact. And when we first visited that house, we worked really hard because the story was around the ghost of a gentleman who did not like people being in the house. So I think we spent about 2.5 hours before we finally got him to kind of trust us that we weren't there for anything horrible or nasty.
We were about 1.5 years, 2 years. But you see, something similar happened to us at Caldwell. We did Caldwell for about 2 months, and we did that on numerous investigations. And Caldwell was a place that had been explored many times by these urbex explorers, but we couldn't find any, reports into paranormal investigation. So we did it, and we get quite a bit of evidence. But we took another team along with us one day, just for validation, more or less. And we said, right, we'll go down to the basement, and the stairwell was where we always got most activity. But we said, we'll go down to the basement, you do the stairwell for an hour, then we'll swap round. So this is what we did. So after the hour, I went up and I said, right, that's the hour up, we're going to swap round. How did you get on? And they said, we get nothing. Nothing. We think one of our toys turned round slightly. He said, that was it. We get done. So we swapped round. As soon as we started investigating on the stairwell, where K2s and all that started, we started to get responses, where even with the decaphonic and Scottish accents and the same names had been picked up before. So that, I'm not saying that we were better than the other team. I'm not saying that. What I mean is that, as you were saying there, Liam, I think spirit gets to recognise you and remember you and think, right, I trust them, I know them, I don't know them, so they're only plums, but yous are okay and I'll talk to yous. Would you think, Barry?
Well, it's interesting you say about accents. I mean, I I have an obvious disadvantage from that point of view, but we've recently taken on a member who speaks Gaelic, and she's based in Skye, but we found that one of the investigations we did out on the west coast, one of the spirits we came across would respond if asked a question in Gaelic, but not in English. Fortunately, one of the it was one of these things where you have members of the public who've come along for a demonstration, and one of them actually spoke Gaelic and asked the questions for us and got responses. Whereas they just didn't respond. This particular spirit didn't respond to English. I mean, I've even had out on what we call a ghost road. I had a spirit refused to communicate with me, but would communicate with other members of the group. And the trouble was that I reminded him of one of his teachers at school. So he wouldn't talk to me. I've since had confirmation that this particular guy, who we thought it was, a friend of mine who's not part of the group, she's sensitive, and she actually knew this particular fellow. And apparently he didn't even realise he was dead to start with. He'd had a car accident and I think it was an injury to the head or something. And he hadn't realised he was dead. But she confirmed completely separately that this particular guy had been killed in a car accident on that stretch of road. So, but the fact that he wouldn't communicate with me because I reminded him of one of his teachers, I thought was, a bit amusing and a bit insulting as well.
I think it's great. I think that's funny. You remind me of my old French teacher. I'm not talking to you,
Well, that's right. Yeah.
But it shows. I've got some comments to put up, which will come in. But it shows you, and to me, it shows in that respect that these people have passed on, passed over, but they're still just normal people.
Yep.
I mean, no doubt at some point in our life, we've all seen somebody that reminds us of an old teacher or something like that. And you think, oh, she was with my maths teacher. She was a right old witch. Whatever. And
that's right.
We've always said that we carry everything ways when it's your time to go, except the boy. And I think that kind of validates it as well.
That's right.
Didn't like you because you look like an old teacher. Basic stuff.
Well, the thing is,
I never have
you're not going to immediately kind of like, when you pass over, you're not going to immediately turn into some sort of like godly sort of like, oh, Val, you're wonderful. This is lovely. Of course, you're going to keep your own temperament. You're going to keep your own attitude
Yeah.
or anything like that, you know. So I don't get people, you know, I don't get people who say, "Oh, it's holier than thou" and everything like that. It's just like, no. It's probably you're probably just going to be wandering about like, what the heck's going on here, you know? Just like, well, there's somebody I know, you know, and so that's why they do become friendly and everything like that. And if you know.
I've got to put sorry comments up. I say when I speak to spirit like that to another conversation with someone not present. Exactly. You know. You just that's why I used to do the guy in the flat when you come in and say, "What a day I've had today." You know, you don't believe it. I missed that bloody bus again. I just generally, and people probably think I was nuts. You know. But who's to say? You know that young gentleman's there. And you come in and he's listening, oh, he missed his bus today and stuff. And it's still communication with him, you know. Or you get up in the morning, you think, oh, I really cannot be annoying in the day, but I'm just going to have to, I'll see you when I come home. I think it's acknowledgement more than anything else.
Yeah.
That even though you can't see them, you're acknowledging that they're there.
Yeah.
You know, I would say my best is we would think was Mary Queen of Scots at Hales, the one you heard, Liam.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah,
that was in real time. Do they manifest just as a person in front of you?
I wish. No, we use various methods. We use mediums, so we've got sensitives in the team. So they will pick up on things that will then be on people that will then research or ask the client for a bit of a word about. And if we can validate them, we will put them forward then as evidence. Obviously, we use, as Barry's saying as well, use the dowsing rods a lot. So we use dowsing rods to ask questions as well and whatnot. But it's all about trying to get that validation, so that we're getting not just what we're getting on the day, but that we can then go off and actually back that up. I've seen a few things, but you know, I think we've talked about this before. There's clearly a rule book there, and you know, they're not allowed to be seen when you're filming or whatnot. It's always when the camera's been switched off and whatnot that they decide to pop in to say hi.
Well, I know Laura, Craig's other half, she's seen through that shadows at Loudon. Rigger, Rigger and I did an investigation one night ourselves there, and Rigger seen it. I never seen it. And Loudon, one night I seen, it was a little girl, I say she's around about 10 or 12, and it was like a millisecond. She was over to the left-hand side, just kind of poking out for the cheese. And I looked over and I looked back and she was gone. But you're talking a millisecond, and that's really been it. That's all I have seen. What about you, Craig and Barry? What about you guys?
I kind of like, I haven't really sort of like seen kind of like anything like, because I tend to be more up for, seems to be the animal spirits that like me for some reason. You know, it's just like I'll see a cat or a dog or something like that. That's the ones that tend to most visit me. Whereas, as you said, with my wife, she's more of sort of like the tall man from Loudon and everything like that. And it's just, you know, like you say, you just kind of like treat them, you know, as if it's every day. A dog or a cat doesn't know it's kind of probably passed or anything like that. You know, you just say hello, just treat them as himself. You know, and if somebody's standing, you see somebody standing, watching you unobtrusively, or anything like that, then fine, they're just watching you. It's not, you know, it's nothing really kind of spooky. They're not doing anything. They're not going to hurt you. But I just feel, you know, I hate it when they're doing the sort of like the ghost camp things and it's like, oh, there's a shadow over there, and all of a sudden you're racing towards over there, and it's just like, well, why don't you just let him be? He's obviously just happy watching, You know, if I saw a gang of people running towards me with recorders, I'd want to disappear, you know, and just...
I just give them time, you know, if you think you see something...
Just treat them as if they are, you know.
You know, so if you think you see something... The one thing that annoys me is when people say, there's something in that corner. It's no something, it's someone. You know, if there's a spirit there, it's someone, it's no something. So if you do see something, you know, lurking in a corner or whatever it is, then as you say, Craig, you know, I mean, we've all seen it, everybody runs towards it, you know. To me, why not just let them be and let them approach you in their own time? That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What about you, Barry? Have you ever seen...
Well, yes and no. This friend I was talking about, she was also a colleague. We were doing a survey of a very large old house in Inverness, and we were down in the basement. Just to sort of give you the background, the whole place was boarded up. We had a generator at the front door and loads of cable, so that we had to carry our lighting around with us. We were in the basement. We opened the door to a very small. It must have been a pantry or something like that. No more than metre and a half, 2 meters square. And as she opened the door, she sort of jumped back and said, "Did you feel someone push past you then?" And I'd got a sort of a tingle down the base of my spine. And so we carried on. We were doing a survey. We were measuring. And then we were up on the ground floor, the great big stairwell, big oak stair. And we were packing up. And she'd gone to switch the generator off. And I was winding up yellow cable round my arm. And I looked up in this stairwell, and I think they call it like a shadow figure or something, like a human shape of like smoke, grey smoke, something like that. And as I looked up, it just went whoosh and sort of disappeared into another room, and it was something that I felt. I wasn't scared. I was just sort surprised as much as anything. But I said to her, "Did you see that?" And she said no. But it was interesting that once, as I say, we were doing a survey. To be a little bit technical, once the survey was drawn up, we overlaid the basement plan and the ground floor plan, and where we felt this thing come out of the cupboard, and also where I saw this grey figure, one was immediately above the other. I mean, two virtually to the millimeter. And we discovered that some years ago in this stairwell, a young girl had hanged herself. And we thought, this is, tracked back historically. So it did happen. And it was in that place. And I'm thinking, well, there must have been something there, something residual. It's like, I expect you've heard of the stone tape.
Yeah.
Where occurrences are sort of imprinted into the fabric of a building. And I think it was something like that, but I don't know. It was just something that happened so quickly. And, it's not really explicable easily. Let's put it that way. It just happened.
I mean, the story energy impresses. Eileen's saying, I see a figure regularly at home when going upstairs and my cat in my bedroom or on my bed. But I mean, the stone tape theory, now this is just my way of thinking. I like your guide opinions on this. You get, what they call anniversary hauntings. You know, two that spring to mind immediately is Jane Seymour and Catherine Howard. Could that be put down to the stone tape theory, do you think? You know, obviously, Jane Seymour said to be seen in the Starlight Staircase in Hampton Court in that anniversary of Edward's death every year. And the Haunted Gallery in Hampton Court, Catherine Howard broke away for her guards, etc. Everybody knows the story. Do you think that can be put down to the stone tape theory?
Could be.
It could be, but that would be coincidental. You're talking about an anniversary haunting, a bit like people see. I live just down the road from the Culloden battlefield, and people on the anniversary of the battle, they do see Jacobites or redcoats marching along, marching through, disappearing. But I don't think the two are necessarily the same. I think they can be linked, but the stone tape theory is more. It's somehow, if you wake it up, that sounds silly, but if somehow you spark something that makes it happen, rather than a sort of an anniversary. I mean, it would be quite a coincidence if we'd been in that big building at that particular place at that particular time as an anniversary of this girl hanging herself. So yes, they could be the same, but I think there's a definite case for them being separate as well. Yeah.
What about you, Liam?
Yeah, I think Barry's what Barry's saying is probably right. I mean, your stone tape, and it's a recurring, isn't it? It's constantly, you know, people see it time and time again. The anniversary thing it's a one-off, once a year event. They're not seen for the rest of the year. But who knows, to be honest?
You know,
it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I mean, you know, the one that I like, Barry mentioned Culloden there, is the one about on the eve of the battle, there was an attempt to ambush the government army at Nairn, which meant a march from Culloden battlefield. And this woman had come into the battlefield's exhibition centre, and she says, "You can think I'm daft, but she says, every year on the eve of the battle, I hear like people marching through my garden. And then about 10 minutes later, I hear people running as if they're trying to catch up." So the guys said, like, "Where's your house?" And they overlaid the route the march took, and the march went right through their garden. So, you know, that's something that's also happening where there's nothing really physical there. Or the stone tape theory, you know, when you think buildings, and I suppose you could argue the ground could absorb it. But yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating.
It just leads to one question after another. But you know, jump back to the anniversary hauntings. You think, well, if it's no stone tape theory, why is it that, you know, these people, these individuals are seen at that only once a year, you know, and no other time? As you know, obviously it's like you take Jane Seymour, for instance. She said it was a major part of her life, the death of her son, you know. So is that a case of she's coming back to look for him? You know, sort of, you know, it just, I don't know, it kind of Google basically.
Time slip. I know you were talking about that on Monday night about the you know, these, you know, a kind of multiple dimensions and different times.
Oh, I get
I'll not try to bore you, Scott. But the time slip is something that fascinates me, and that could explain it.
See, the time slip thing, I've got a question for Country Carpenter, which I'll pop in a wee second. Country Carpenters, Irene was my layers. And to let you understand, Barry, I'm a basic guy. I'm a basic investigator. You know, I'm no scientific or anything like that. Well, one thing, I don't know if this would count as a time slip, right? There was one time I was in Greyfriars, I was there myself, and it was during the day, and I was about 1, 2 in the afternoon, and sitting on one of the benches for a wee while. Now, it felt like it was half an hour. I have told this story before, but I looked at my phone and it was actually the back of 5. So I'd been there for about 3.5, 4 hours. But it only felt like half an hour. I thought, geez, I need to move, I need to give my butts. I don't know, I can't explain that because, I've told a couple of people and they says, you must have realised the time. I didn't realise the time at all. And I didn't nod off or fall asleep or anything like that. And I don't know if that could count as a time slip or not.
I don't know. I mean, the famous time slip I think we talked about before was in Liverpool, which is one of the most famous ones, where 2 completely independent individuals walked into a shop in Liverpool, I think in the 1970s or 80s, might be 1980s, and they found themselves transported back to maybe the 1930s. The shop interior was completely different. One of them screamed, the other turned to look as the other one ran out the door. They turned back, and the shop was back to present day.
How it was.
Yeah. So I do wonder with anniversary, is it something to do with the amount of energy that would have been generated, by a person or by persons, that possible the fear, they know what's going to happen, and that's seeping through. That would be my best. That would be my best guess at the moment. It's a simple guess.
I've got no idea. Absolutely none whatsoever.
Yeah.
As you can tell, I don't. Country Cat was asking about Bigfoot and orbs. What's your guys' thoughts on these? I know
Bigfoot.
orbs is a bit of a controversial subject.
I think there was a question. Yeah, I think there was a question earlier about orbs as well. We've seen orbs. I have seen orbs. Where I was actually in a room with 2 other people, and we all saw them. And they were right in front of us, flashing. It was like flashing, balls of light. I've also seen them outside on one occasion, and again, other individuals were there. And so, but I mean, orbs in photographs. Everybody who knows me, I just can't stand them. I'm just like, come on, guys, dust, moisture bags. I'm not an orbs guy as such. I always say, rule number 1: if you can see it with the naked eye, it's a different story. But anything that's caught on digital cameras, very, very questionable.
Yeah.
What about you, Barry?
Orbs, yes, I'm happy to accept those. Again, another friend of mine, she has filmed them in the middle of the night in her house, but I do know that her house is particularly active. I've done sort of a mini investigation. In fact, we're going out to do one at her house in a short while. But Bigfoot, man in a gorilla suit.
Oh no, Barry!
Yeah.
I love the idea.
Sorry.
Of Bigfoot.
Come on.
I know it.
Sorry.
In fact, we were discussing it. We were actually discussing it the other day because I was watching a show on Netflix, which was with the Navajo police, and that they actually set up basically an X-Files division. There was 2 guys who were basically, their job was to go and investigate paranormal cases, and Bigfoot was one of those. And the evidence that they did get some evidence which would suggest that possibly there was something. But again, when I put my skeptic hat on, I go, come on, if there was a Bigfoot there, we would have discovered
about it.
We know about it. Unless it's not actually a being from Earth. Because the other thing about a lot of people think with Bigfoot is that Bigfoot basically he's there 1 second and he vanishes the next. So again, could he be interdimensional?
No, he's a cousin. He's a cousin of the Yeti
That's my big
and
word
the
for tonight.
Chupacabra.
You're getting technical again, Liam. I've told you about this. Bigfoot, I don't know. To be honest, I've seen many photographs. I've watched documentaries on it and stuff like that. And as you say, Barry, a guy in a gorilla suit, possibly. To be honest, I don't know enough about it to discount it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, and I'm not saying it does exist. I'm kind of 50-50. I suppose Bigfoot can get done with Nessie sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe everything I see on YouTube. No.
See, I don't like discounting the Bigfoot does it. I don't know. Possibly.
Well, the other problem is it goes back to what we were saying at the start, wasn't it? It's, the guy in the gorilla
Keep an open mind.
Is probably Zach Baggins. It's like because Nessie. How many fake photographs has there been of Nessie over the years? Loads and loads. So maybe. You're always going to get individuals who are going to go out there and try and make a buck by faking something. What fascinates me about Bigfoot is the number of sightings, the area. It's not just in one area, that they're seen. So it is absolutely fascinating. But I would have thought with all the effort that's been put in for something that's supposed to be the size it is, that somebody would have had credible.
I mean, they say they found. I mean, this country carpenter says their experience is best. I suppose it's the kind of thing you would need to experience first. I say to people about this with the paranormal, try to tell you the paranormal's real, blah blah blah. I think it's something that you would need to personally experience and think, right? Well, I've just seen that or heard that. Can I explain it? So if you do see, if you're out in America, North America, wherever it is, and see something that resembles Bigfoot, you think, well, what is that? Was that Bigfoot? Was it not?
I'd be happy to accept what I see.
It's easy to fake, basically, for TV. It's easy to fake or sugary camera work. Just basically why, half the time I'm watching all these ghost shows on TV, I'm now sort of like thinking, okay, they've got a sound there. I wish I was there. I wish I was there just to kind of like go, okay, what's around this corner? What's behind the camera? Is there like lots of people behind the camera, or is there one person who's behind that? Which is basically what I kind of do anyway, in an investigation. If there's a sound or anything like that, I'll go off and try and see if there is anything and explain it. But you can't, like I said, with the Yeti or the abominable snowman, I like to keep my options kind of like open. I'm not saying that there is. I'm not saying that there's not. But in order for me to definitely say that there is, I would need to experience it, like you say, I would need to experience it.
It's a different. Sorry, it's different. Obviously our conversation started out with experience of the paranormal, and I have experienced some of that. So I'm accepting of that. I haven't seen a Yeti or a Bigfoot or Chupacabra or anything like that. So I'm a little more skeptical. Let's say that. Yeah.
Again, you need to be you know, on the skeptical side. I mean, as you say, Barry, with the paranormal experience, I've had quite a few experiences, you know, investigations, as you guys have as well. And it's things that you know yourself, you know, quick example is, again, Loud and Kirk, but one investigations that I felt that there was a guy standing right behind me, and you know, I was expecting to turn around and see him, but obviously nobody could, you couldn't see anything there, but I just knew that there was somebody standing there, and he was, I could even feel he was standing with his arms folded, watching everybody. And I said to her, I think Spig was with that night as well, and I said, there's somebody standing right there, I swear to God, because I can feel him right there. And that's happened a few times, no doubt you guys have felt, you know, and it's things like this when you know personally that you've heard it, smelt it, seen it, whatever, and you try and explain it away to yourself, and you think, I can't explain that.
Right.
Does that make, have you seen experiences with that, you know, personal one? The other thing is when you see people's faces change, you know, you could be doing an investigation and maybe half a dozen people there, and you it's not that you're watching or it sounds creepy, you're not stalking them, but you notice somebody's facial expressions change, you know, and you know nothing around them and your environment's changed, but it's personal to them. So you start wondering, have they heard something or have they felt something, you know?
I had something like that. We were doing an investigation at a castle, a ruined castle. It was when our American group were over, and they were in contact with the clan chief, who, well, long story short, chopped his daughter's hands off while she was hanging out of a window in the tower. Well, you know, I didn't think that was a particularly nice thing to do, but it's something happened which had not happened before. Is that I was standing, it was drizzly, I was standing on grass, I was feeling in contact, if you like, with the ground. And I closed my eyes. I know Liam, look, he said at the time that I looked a little bit different or something. I had an impression of this guy, the clan chief, coming, and it was like, best I can say, it was like a child's drawing in chalk on a pavement, and he was a shortish guy, about, well, a bit probably taller than me, and he was wearing a proper tartan, well, the plaid, you know, over the shoulder, the whole bit, and the tartan appeared red to me. I mean, there was a pattern, but it just looked red, and it wasn't until afterwards we looked up the tartan of this particular clan, and guess what? It was red. You know, and I thought, interesting. But this guy, he didn't like us. He didn't want us to be there, really. He was a bit resentful, you know, because we were asking questions about his daughter.
Stuff like that make you, you know, make you wonder. You can feel something, you can hear something, see something, and you can't explain why. You know, and then it's like,
that's right.
A couple of years ago.
Well, that's not happened to me. That's not happened to me before. You see, so because I said to the medium who was there, I said, did you pass that to me? And she said, well, no, it wasn't me. So I don't know how I got the picture, but, you know, it wasn't a very good picture. It was fuzzy, as I say, like a child drawing in chalks on a pavement. But it happened. Well, I told him at the time, didn't I? You know, it just, you know, it just happened, and I have no explanation except that it did happen.
Something similar happened to me. I think 2-3 years ago. It was a girl, Natalie Gardner. She runs Ghost Ramblers. We've had her on a few times, and she's right in photography. And she would post them up in the group. And she posted this picture one day. It was the side of an abandoned building, and it showed with 2 floors. And I commented. I was looking at the second one of the second floor windows, and I commented on it. Did you see the lady on the second floor window staring down? And so Natalie, she mailed me and says, "Can you describe this lady?" I said, "Well, she's very Downtown Abbey, hair straight back, pulled right back, kind of long, sort of pointy nose, and she's looking down her nose, and she's got a kind of white blouse on." And Natalie said, and we did a live about it. Natalie came on. It's on our YouTube channel somewhere. But she was with a medium that day, and she says, "You know what's really freaky is because that's the way." I can't mind the medium's name. That's the way the medium. She told me the exact same thing before I posted that photograph. And I don't know. I've never spoke to this medium. I don't know the lassie. And Natalie says, "How did you know?" I said, "I don't know how I knew it." I said, "I just got this strong feeling that this woman was watching the 2 of you and she was not happy." And Natalie says, "Well, our medium described it as Downtown Abbey, the exact same way you described it." And again, as you say, Barry, it's just it's a feeling you get and you don't know why. You know, and I'm not a medium or a psychic or anything like that at all. You know,
but a lot of mediums will say to you that we all are. We just don't know how to use it. We don't know how to open our third eye. And I mean, I've had that conversation on numerous occasions with various mediums, and I think maybe certainly there's people I know in the group, and maybe Barry's now going down that route as well, is the fact that the more you investigate, the more you believe, the more you're open. I don't know what's quite gone wrong with me because I don't have any of that kind of thing going on with me. But I think, you know, I do think that we, you know, we probably do all have that gift. And for whatever reason, as we've talked about it before, you go to school and your priorities change and you suddenly got to start thinking about more serious things, and then a lot of people lose it. But I do wonder if, you know, it's the fact that we've all got it. We've all got kind of I suppose we've all got kind of abilities. I mean, I do. I've said before, my speciality is I will be in town. I'll look at a bus that's passing by, and I'll see Barry in the bus. I'll look back again. It's not Barry. I'll walk around the corner, and who will I bump into? Barry. I've had that happen to me numerous times. Not always Barry, but I've had it happen to me numerous times. And that's the only spooky stuff that goes on with me.
You see that's weird because that used to have to be quite a lot years and years ago. You'd be thinking of somebody or whatever, and then they would phone, or you'd bump into them. You know, or you'd be sitting next to somebody and you say, right there, and you know, a few minutes they're going to suggest going to the pub. And you know, and then we talk, you know, do you fancy going for a beer? Lauren says she doesn't know where her gift is. He's sitting right there, my dear. There's your gift.
I think we all sort of have it. I think probably we all have something. It's just locked away in the back of the brain because at some time you've been taught that doesn't exist. And it quite possibly does, but it's more prominent in some people. You know, I don't know that everybody has that ability sort of straight up. It's like using dowsing rods to find water or something like that. I have a friend of mine, a real son of the soil, a countryman. You know, he's done everything in the countryside, and he's really in touch with it. He can't use dowsing rods. Very strange, because most people can. But it just doesn't work for him. So there's no good reason. So Laurence, you just keep looking.
I was going to say with regards to dowsing rods as well, one of the best demonstrations I ever saw with dowsing rods was actually Barry. So we were at an old clearance village called Bad Bay.
Oh yeah.
And it is on the side of a cliff, basically. They used to actually tie the this is no joke. They used to tie in storms, they would tie the children to a post so they didn't get blown into the sea. But it's an overgrown, there's not much left. You can tell that there's been houses in certain areas, but the grass is, grass is quite high and whatnot in places and whatnot. And Barry lost one of his dowsing rods there. And he just turned around and says, "Don't worry, I'll find it." And he pulls out his other dowsing rod and he starts walking around and he goes quite a distance, but he gets there and he finds his other dowsing rod. And I was like, wow.
You see that? I mean, how do you...
Yeah, that's magic.
Explain that? That is pretty amazing. If one could
they're twin. The rods are twin, and it just suddenly occurred to me, well, I've still got one. I can use that to find the other.
Yeah.
And so I did. I simply, I suppose I trusted in it. I didn't think, I don't think this will work. I decided to do it, and it worked.
You weren't really thinking,
How do you explain it? I've left this comment up the island, mate, because it's weird she says that, because years ago, my first marriage, way back, before mobile phones were invented, whenever our phone would be the landline phone, and whenever our phone would ring, I'd be able to tell my ex who was on the phone. I said, "That's your mum," or "That's your sister." And I was always, and she used to say, "How do you know that?" I said, "I don't know." And then I used to freak her out, which I thought was really funny. But I used to say, "Okay, it's your mother's ring." It was the exact same ring for everybody, but that old joke, "It's your mum's ring."
Yeah.
But you see that's your sister on the phone, and pick up and sure enough, that is my sister. So I know exactly what Eileen's talking about.
Yeah.
I couldn't explain, and we didn't have the caller ID or anything. It was just a plain white phone. So I know exactly what Eileen's talking about when she says that. But just what you were saying, Liam, I've said this before in shows about you say the more you investigate, and I think you do. I think after a certain time in life, a barrier kind of goes up, a sort of invisible barrier, and you're sort of programmed by the world, that spirits doesn't exist and all that. It's a load of hocus pocus. But when you start to look into the paranormal, you that barrier starts to come down, and the more you investigate, the more the barrier comes down. And I always imagine that spirits on the other side of that barrier, and with that barrier coming down, it's letting them in.
Yeah.
So like opening a door, basically. That sort of thing, there's a wee gap in that door, I can maybe I can creep through there. And that's when little things start happening to you, and the more the door opens, I'm not saying a big thing's going to happen to you, but there's more chance of, as you were saying, Barry, about your experience, you couldn't explain why. Maybe that's because the door's finally open and spirits seen that chance to get in there.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It's like just tuning yourself up to it, I suppose. It's not. It's not that I've consciously tried to do that, but it just happened. Presumably with use.
Yeah.
You do it subconsciously. The barrier, you don't even know the barrier's there. And subconsciously it comes down and spirit. It's like, taking layers of a wall away, and spirit can. The more wall you take away, the better the spirit can see her, and right, we can get rid of this wall now.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I was going back to what I was saying. When I was really skeptical, And I remember a good friend who's no longer with us now, who was the most spiritual and magical person I know. She said to me, she says, you know, spirit really likes you because you respect them. You're always, I goes, oh, and I goes, but, and she goes, you are spiritual. You don't know it, but you are. And spending time with her, especially, and listening to her and how she led her life and things like that, that definitely opened a door. And I became more spiritual and more open. And since then, I've seen much more than I ever saw before as well, which is, I was just thinking about it while we were on chatting away there, that most of what I've seen visible has happened in the last probably since lockdown, really. You know, most of what I've seen that where I've actually got, I can actually see something here. You know, and as I said, that's not the any kind of mediumship. That's actually being in a location and all of a sudden there's something there in front of you. You know, or in the distance moving across. Like as we talk shadow men, I've seen quite a few now of those, and in daylight as well. The one that was really fascinating was in the house that Barry was talking about earlier. We used to do our open meets there, and I think it was the last open meet we did there. It was also a guest house, and there were some guests, and the place was packed. There was people sitting on the stairs, and one of the guests, for whatever reason, something caught his eye, and he started filming the gallery. There's a balcony that went round the great hall there, and he caught a shadow. It wasn't like a full body or anything, but it was a shadow, and it was a weird shadow where it was. It made no sense. So on the night we looked at it and we thought, what's casting that shadow? What's and we thought, it can't be that light, Couldn't work it out. A few weeks later, we were doing an event there, and I had said, I'm going to try and debunk this before we start. And I was going, no, it's not that light, not light. And then suddenly, one of the big lamps in the hall switched itself off. And as soon as it switched it off, I realized which light had been casting, that I would have had to walk in front to cast the shadow. So it was almost like spirit was helping me now. By actually switching the light off to go, and we then worked out that there was absolutely no way, the height of the light or anything, that it could have been anybody human walking past it that would have caused that.
See, the problem is your door's being opened up, and it's when you get things like that, you get photographs and stuff like that you know, you try and debunk, and you try, but you just cannot do it. I think, I would. There's a place. It's about half an hour's drive, Dalquahar, and we've done it 2 or 3 times, but it's a big old house. There's no floors in it. Well, you get the ground floor and you get base, but above that, I think it's 3 stories high, but there's no floors. And one night we were down, and there's a big courtyard in the front of it, and we were sitting. It was pitch black, so I was taking some photographs, you know, and there was a fair crowd, but. Took the photographs, went home, looked at the photo, then we saw a light in one of the second floor windows. And I don't know if you remember this, Craig, or no?
Yeah, I remember. I think it was Dalcahan, and I think there was another point, I think, again in the second floor, where we kind of saw a shadow in one of the photos as well.
There was a shadow. It was this light that stood out, and we couldn't explain it because there's no floors. You know, and there was nobody else in that building. It was pitch black, and if there'd been a light on, you know, well, there's no electricity or anything in the building. There's nothing. It's just a shell. If that light had been there, we'd have seen it when we're standing out front. And it was just, you know, that kind of thing. So you're saying about the light, Liam. It's when you get photographs with that, instances with that, you say, well, what the hell is it? You know, and. It was a one-off, you know. We've been back since when it's been dark, but we've never ever seen that light again. So if it had been something outside in the background, then if I, you know, how can I put it? If it'd been something physical doing it, the next time we went back, to me that light would still have been there.
Mhm.
You know, if it wasn't
Yeah.
spirit or anything. So, but it's one of these things. It's fascinating the amount of and I think that's where a lot of people go wrong when they're coming into the paranormal. They're expecting low-flying tables and blah blah blah. And like we said earlier on, you know, like Ghostbusters, Ghost Adventures, and that. And I've said to people, it can be the smallest, simplest thing, you know, that you experience a wee flicker of a light or something. And you know, it doesn't necessarily, you know, have to be a headstone floating across the room or anything. And I think a lot of people expect this, and they dismiss the smaller things that might happen when they go and investigate. That's nothing. I mean, I know there are things that happen, and there's teams out there that are just cabbages, basically. Everything paranormal, you know, everything, you know. And I mean, the amount of teams I've watched, and you think, seriously, how are you still, I was going to say in business, but how are you still running as a team? You know, like the Demon Hunters, Liam, the video, they're still going.
Yeah,
they're all together, but they're still doing their own thing.
It's really weird. I've started watching people like Beardo on YouTube. I don't know if you've watched him. He's a debunker, and he does some very good videos where he will show you how they have faked sometimes with video editing, but he explains it. And yet, even though he's explaining it, and you can clearly see he's got it spot on, he's getting abuse. And there's still hundreds of people following these various pages. I just the mind boggles. Maybe they actually are only following a lot of them are only following the page from an amusement point of view. Because actually, when you watch some of these videos, all you can do is laugh. But at the same point, as I said, he's getting abuse from people. Stop picking on him. You're bullying him. You're doing this. You're doing that. But you know, at the end of the day, he's rightly calling them out because they're faking it.
I wouldn't term that as bullying. I would term it like you. I mean, as soon as you put something up on video on YouTube, Facebook, whatever it might be, and say, right, this is paranormal, you've made a statement. So you've opened yourself up for people to come and look at it and try and debunk it. You know, I don't think the guy's attacking them, but I mean, some of it is just, you know, I mean, I've told this before, just quickly. Craig ruins a castle near us, about 10 minutes, Craigie Castle. There's no very much left at all. It's a couple of walls or something, but a couple of years ago, these two individuals that we used to know, they did an investigation up there. And the Craigie Castle has got very, very small ties to William Wallace. I think he visited it once or something. Very, very small ties, you know. But they investigated. Now, this thing's in the middle of the countryside. And they went up and investigated it, and they were getting through the necrophoric. Oh, that's William. That's what we've got, William Wallace here.
Yeah.
And then they were saying that they could hear a horse. You know, well, in the middle of the countryside, so do the math. What's the chances of a horse being in the country in a field? But they were saying that this was William Wallace's horse.
Oh,
so there's William Wallace and his horse, just 10 minutes up the road.
Yeah.
You know, and
they're good.
Did you hear a horse? I definitely heard a horse. That must be Wallace's horse. So you're going to hear coos and sheep. Are you going to hear horses and all? You know.
Yeah.
And
things like that always remind me. I think Billy Connolly was doing the thing. He was talking about psychics, and it's just like and how the other world, and it's just saying how basically everybody who believes in reincarnation sort of like doesn't always comes back as like says, oh, I was once the Queen of Sheba, or I was once the King of Egypt, I was once King Henry II. Nobody actually says that, you know, they were cleaning sort of like the lavatories down, you know, down at a caravan site or something like that, you know. It's kind of like it's the same. it's the same like this. It's just like if some place is connected to a famous person, somebody is going to sort of like say, I saw that famous person.
Bonnie Prince Charlie.
Every person that goes there is going to say, "Oh, I saw, like you say, Bonnie Prince Charlie, or I saw William Wallace."
It's like,
and to that.
Up in the Highlands, it's Bonnie Prince Charlie. Definitely everywhere he's been, and even places he's never been, Bonnie Prince Charlie haunts the building.
but
I totally get it.
I totally get what Craig's saying. It's never Fred the Baker or Bob the Butcher or something. I was Bob the Butcher. Where I used to clean Henry VIII's toilet. It's always, they're always somebody historical. It's the same as the videos I sent you, the lady in it. She claimed on a live one night she was the reincarnation of Maid Marian. No, that's right. Maid Marian never existed. But she was I'm the reincarnation of Maid Marian. And I still remember it. It's every time I go to Sherwood Forest, the spirits bow down. I'm thinking, Maid Marian never existed, so how can you be the reincarnation of a non-person? But she I don't know whether she convinced herself that she was Maid Marian or she was just blown bollocks, basically.
It's a good story.
It's when people come out with outlandish claims, and as Craig says, I was once Henry VIII. Say, well, what about these 6 women? What about the 2 you beheaded and stuff? Explain yourself then, son. Yes, it's never wee Tammy train driver out of Glasgow Central for 1956. Or something like that, it's just, and again, it gives us, as normal investigators a bad name.
Yeah.
And Eileen says you'd be surprised how many people start to fake to get an audience approval. I've seen it myself. They do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yourself, guys, if you go out and do an investigation, you get nothing, just turn around and say, because how people who follow you or watch you, they deserve that respect, number one, because they're taking the time to follow and watch your stuff. But it also gains you respect because these people can see, well, they've got nothing, so they're saying they're away up the road. Because
I think we the folk that follow us because they know that we're genuine and we're not going to go on and tonight we're going to show you Bonnie Prince Charlie's ghost and so I mean we get into, as I said, I mean we've touched on it with some of the private cases that we do that we upset people because we won't pander to what they want. They'll get whatever we can pick up, and we're not not for 1 minute saying that what we say is the be all and end all, but we can only go on what we can pick up.
They've asked you to come in, so basically what you're saying is we came in, we did our thing, and we're just telling you what we got or we didn't get. We're not saying that you're lying or whatever, that there's no something here, but we never witnessed anything. So
if we can come up with a natural reason for activity happening, we'll tell them that. We'll show them that. We'll go, this is what's actually. And it used to be when we did private work that everybody would be totally happy, totally relieved. But more and more now we seem to get in this culture of no, they want to be haunted, they want to be believed, and I think it's what somebody was touching on, because they want to go and talk about it on Facebook or sell their story to the newspaper. We've had people who've contacted us who I genuinely believe the only reason they've contacted us is because they're trying to find a paranormal group who will give them a quote so they can sell a story.
And you get these. I was looking at a post earlier on the day about, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was saying it's the most haunted pub in the UK. And I'm thinking,
here we go.
How do you know it is? Have you been in every pub?
Yeah.
In the UK, it's, I see.
Especially after 4 or 5 pints, you know.
Yeah. Plenty of spirits.
But that's I says this the other. I says to Eileen and Nick the other night. There was a post a couple of weeks ago about name the most haunted place in the world, and I put a comment and say you can't name the most haunted place in the world because you might get a big elaborate mansion that's maybe active, but then you get a tiny wee kirkyard that's got a lot more activity. So is the kirkyard more haunted than the mansion?
Yeah.
And let's face it, there's countless places that haven't been investigated. Never. And who's to say that? But it's when people say it's the most haunted pub in Britain. Right? No, it's not. No less you've been in every single pub and investigated it. They say the Greyfriars that we love dearly, that's got the reputation of being the most the most haunted kirkyard in the world. But any investigation we did there, before we found out about the ban, I will emphasise that again, we never got any activity. I'm not saying that there's no, but you had all these other teams get in and say they go to McKenzie. We've spoken about this, Liam, about they went in and they've got Mackenzie poltergeist straight away. He's waiting at the gate for them. As soon as they walk in, George Mackenzie's there, what he's wanting kind of thing. And, all that kind of stuff. And every time we've been in Greyfriars all different hours of the day and night and nothing except battery drainage. That's it. That's what I have to offer, And so that annoys me when they say this is the most haunted place in the UK. You bollocks. You can't say that 100. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I totally agree. You can't. It's the same with these most haunted lists. You get, all the top 5 most haunted locations in Scotland. I'm pretty sure everybody who's here tonight would go, well, I don't think so. Maybe the most famous locations, best known locations, from a haunted point of view. Edinburgh Castle, Culloden Battlefield. Every Culloden Battlefield's always on the list. I mean, Culloden Battlefield has never been properly investigated, probably never will, because National Trust are against it. It's such a sacred site. We certainly always said we would never do it. And so again, they're making these claims, but there's actually, even with Culloden, there is actually very little documented encounters. The encounters of Culloden are there's maybe 5 or 6 different stories. That's it.
A lot of it is, that's the trouble. A lot of it is stories.
Yeah.
I mean, go back to Greyfriars for a second. The amount of teams, no doubt you have seen them on YouTube or whatever, the Mackenzie poltergeist, etc., George Mackenzie, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, we're forced to be good close friends with Jamie Christopher as usual, and Jamie said himself, there's no documented evidence that shows George Mackenzie still wanders in Greyfriars. There's nothing,
Yeah.
War graves are sacred areas. I'd never intrude by, but no, quite a totally agree. War graves.
No.
We always make we always make talk if we've got visitors. So when our American friends were over, we took them to Culloden, but we told them you do not take equipment of any sort of battlefield. You can't do an investigation. What I did find just on a side to that was that 2 of the ladies that were kind of mediums, they'd both been to Gettysburg, and they felt beforehand, it'll be like Gettysburg. They both said that basically the energies at Culloden were far stronger than Gettysburg. In fact, one of them felt like she'd been shot at one point. But they did say that the actual energy at Culloden was a lot stronger than even Gettysburg. But yeah, it's Islands is there. I mean, you've got the area with the war graves, but there's pits all over the field.
Yeah.
I mean, I dare say, it would be tempting, Culloden, Bannockburn, you know, Stirling Bridge, etc., places where big major battles took place. So it would be tempted to go and investigate, but then the other side, it's respect. You know, that's all it is with war graves, children's graveyards as well. I've seen one individual, we've seen one individual investigating a kidney's graveyard, and that was just, we were raging. You know, it was just it's totally taboo. And he'd all his bits and pieces set up in this children's graveyard, and you think, how? Excuse the phrase, but how fucking dare you?
Yeah,
you know, I know we don't swear on this channel, but no chance.
I think that basically you have to respect all sort of like cemeteries or grave, because you are walking into a place where people are at rest. You are walking into a place which is sacred. You are walking into a place where, you know, people are sort of like laid to rest, and it is a sad and very it's a very sacred sort of like place, and you get the kind of like feeling, especially like you say, if you're walking into certain places like Greyfriars, you know, the atmosphere changes definitely from when you're outside to when you're inside. There's certainly a kind of like any sort of like cemetery that you go into, it kind of changes. It's quieter, you're more respectful, it's more kind of like intense, as you say. But so I get what people are saying about the war graves or anything like that, and places where people were shot and, you know, and buried and everything like that, you know, where they lay. But at the same time, I think, like I said, I think that all cemeteries are sacred. All cemeteries are, you know, anywhere a man is buried, whether it's be out in the backyard or something like that, or in the car park, you know, in Leicester, you know, it's, you know, that is a sacred kind of like spot because somebody chose to actually, you know, put that person there for a reason. And it's, you know, it's just really, it's one of those sort of like things. So, I mean, I always kind of say a small prayer when I walk into a cemetery, and to myself, saying bless and everything like that. And, you know, Scott will always say, we're not here to, you know, we're not here to make fun of you. We're here respectfully and everything like that. Even if I go into a cemetery to sit down just for a rest or something like that, if I'm out walking, you just go, I'm not here being disrespectful, I'm being respectful into that, you know. And it's a thing that I've always done. I've always respected any place where somebody is laid to rest, you know.
It's totally, you know, it's just a big thing of respect, and I don't think there's enough respect in the panel top. You guys always are club. There's quite a few teams out there that just they couldn't spell the word if it was sitting in front of them, you know, let alone exercise it. But I'm just noticing the time.
Yeah.
Liam. It's always happens to us. We always kind of run out of time.
Another time slip.
So, I mean, you're known for your events and stuff. We get planned for Halloween. Or is it a spoiler?
Oh no. We're most of our events are sold out now. We are on the 2nd of September. We've got our first open meet in a long time. So that's just a general get together of like-minded folk to chat, similar to what we're doing tonight, chat about the paranormal. That's taking place at the Battlefield Bar and Restaurant at Culloden, and that is actually located within the Battlefield zone, that bar. So they've had some spooky things going on, we've been told, but we're not there to do an investigation, but we might do some demos on the night. So we're looking forward to doing that. We've got HorrorCon, as I said. We've got a couple of events. We've Pool House over in Pool U. We're going back there now. We're going back, and they've got the Mary Queen of Scots exhibition on just now. So we're going back in on the last day of it. So we're looking forward to that. And then Durn House in Port Soy as well. So yeah, kept busy. Castle Fraser, we're doing it, sold out.
When you go to Port Soy, grab me a couple of steak pies for that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Have you been into that Bakers yet? Have you?
No, it's on the wrong side of the village or town, however you want to describe it. But
no,
I might make a point.
No, if you're heading back there, Inverness, it's on the other side.
Yeah, I don't normally go to Port Soy. Yeah, but it's.
Trust you to get onto steak pie, Scott.
Sorry, Barrett. I used to drive the trucks, and every Wednesday I used to do a north run. You know, I'd got Perth and Aberdeen, right round Elgin, Wayne Water, and just as you're coming out of Port Soy, as you're going towards the Inverness side, there's a butcher's, a baker's. Their shop is the last shop on the left, and they do amazing steak pies. That useful information for you, you know. If you're ever that long that way, you need to jump in. I used to buy some and take them back home to Glasgow with me, and then heat them up the next day. That's how good they were.
What is it with Glaswegians and steak pies? My dad was the same. My dad, every Sunday, he would make a steak pie. It's just
we were brought up on, steak pie. And we weren't brought up in fancy food and like caviar and lettuce and crap like that. We were brought up in just normal food, basically. I hope you feel better soon, dear. Hope you feel better soon. But I think we'll wind up there, guys, because we're approaching the 2-hour mark again. But as usual, I'll keep a wee hold of these after we come off for a wee minute or two. You're welcome, Doc. Thanks for joining us. We shall see you at Halloween.
Bye.
We're meeting up with Eileen and Nicola at Halloween in Edinburgh, doing a drive live.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping I've got nothing on that night so I can watch that. I'm looking forward to that.
But we did that. It wasn't long after we started. There'd been these woods that were called the Devil's Woods in Edinburgh, and we'd been dying to investigate them. But it was one of these places that we kept arranging it, and then something would crop up. So, we couldn't go. And then the night that we went, unfortunately, a body had been found in the park that day. So the place was totally sealed off. So we came through for Kilmarnock, and we're sitting in Edinburgh thinking, right, the parks are no go. So what can we do? So we decided just to go for a drive about, the old town, we went live, and we were saying to people, where do you want us to go? You tell us a place. I think we were on for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours or something. And we were just driving around the various bits in the old town. So that's what we're going to do this year. And we're going to give a wee bit of history at each, place. Not that we're experts, but we've covered Edinburgh quite a wee bit. And we'll give, bits of history for the castle and Greyfriars, what have you. But there's one spot on the mile, but I'm not saying where it is. It's a surprise that we had investigated. And we got quite a wee bit of activity. And it's one of the most unlikely places you'd ever think of. We just went down, and it was just one of the offshoots. We'll try here, and we get quite a lot of activity in the K2 and stuff like that. So, as I say, it's a place you wouldn't think of investigating, but we kind of stumbled upon it. So we're doing that. So and Nicola's coming as well. So you better be free and give it a bill. And the good thing is we can do it on Facebook.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Obviously, where our shows like this, they need to go on YouTube because of that Facebook carry on. But we can do it on Facebook when we're through there, so it'll be better. More people can see and stuff. But so where can people find you? Before we wind it up, where can folks find you?
Highland Paranormal on Facebook or highlandparanormal.org on the web.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely get. Well, you've seen Liam McQueen a few times in his team as they're a fantastic team, and they do quite a wee bit. So, big thanks to all these guys for coming on tonight, and to everybody in the chat. So I'll hold on to you just for a wee minute after we go off. So that's it for tonight, folks. Thanks. So we'll be back on Monday night with Donna Burger, and then we'll get Barry John coming in next Thursday. I think I want to say Thursday, maybe Wednesday or Thursday next week. You know what I mean? And that's it. You're welcome, Country Carpenter. And there's we Eileen again. Talk to you soon, though. So have a great weekend, folks. And I hope it's sunny and dry for you. And we'll see you later on. So take care. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Good to go.
Bye.